dedication, let's start off with Ken, there you go. Dale.
Thank you to God for this day and for all your many blessings. Thank you for the blessing of living in America, living in a free society, and living with abundance of resources. Help us to be good citizens, good Rotarians, and share our blessings with others. These things we ask in your name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
of the things we think, say, and do.
If it is true, is fair to all concerned, will it build goodwill and better friendships, will it be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you, Dale. Chris. There he is.
Sorry, this is my last day doing this. I'm not excited.
Not a morning.
We have a visitor from Virginia Rotarian from the airport, Richard.
Hey guys!
That's it.
About it?
Yeah, that's it.
And our guest speakers? Okay, we'll introduce the table when the time comes. Any announcements? I've got one that I do want to start off with. As many of you know, Justin and I have been trying to get Kaiser, and y'all, if y'all remember, Jed O'Donnell spoke, and we didn't have a speaker that day. He just really rocked the room. Yesterday, we finally got the certificate saying that it's certified, it's done, we've got an Interact Club. So that was one of my hugest goals this year. It took all year to get done, and they finally approved it. So, that's right. That's exactly right. Matt.
Good morning, everybody. This Saturday is trash pickups, the last of the year. Well, for this, fiscal, whatever you want to call it. 8:30 World of Beers, shouldn't be more than an hour. If we can get another 4 or 5 people to come, it'd be fantastic. Because I don't think 2 of us are going to be much good. So please sign up. I'll send out the sheet again up to the meeting and see them.
Last time World of Beer wasn't open, did it?
We should plan that a little later. All right, Ken.
We're down to 1 now. Huh? We're down to 1. John just canceled.
All right, good.
But who doesn't know what's happening on June 21st at Star Mountain? If you don't know,
Anybody doesn't know?
change the guard. I think everybody's got. I'll send out the announcement again.
Change to the guard, guys. We're going to keep it out. I'm going to announce it next week, too. This first thing I've been able to taste my breakfast for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's just starting to taste better. Oh, sorry, Chip.
Yeah, ours tastes better too.
All right, there's one family right there. Do we have any other announcements?
So who here's been, is Farlow here or Tim? Who's been to Guatemala? Farlow, here's Dale right here. Did y'all all get this thing from Max Kearns going to Guatemala next week or the next week?
Yeah.
If anybody wants to help him, send it to Oak Ridge United Methodist Church, or get it to Dale or I or anybody else, and we'll get it to him. He's gonna take a team down there of a couple, probably a dozen people or something to help the people.
It's a great experience, guys. If you ever want to do a mission.
Well, I mean, he's going to help the volcano
Right.
people.
Oh,
He's
is he?
going back in October to do the other.
Good deal. All right, Rotary Feud here. What about birthdays? And we want to get birthdays first. Dale? Thank you, Ken.
I saw you try to.
We have one birthday coming up next week. Lisa Simpson on the 11th will be having a birthday. And Rob Midget on the 12th will be having a birthday.
Right.
Wedding anniversaries. Nancy and Dennis Marcotte on the 10th will be celebrating their 24 years.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Conrad?
Oh, yes!
Yes. The Lewis family would know. And let's just go across the room and Kinka family. 85 last night, I heard too. That was, good time. All right, there's 5 answers. The question is, name a drink served in a special glass. Okay, we're gonna get tricky here at the end. Name a drink served in a special type of glass. Since it's not on here, I'll give you an example. All right, who wants to play? Buster, you want to play? Let's make Buster play. Buster, you're playing.
All right.
And we're not gonna do it together. We're gonna do it individually like we've done it for 2 years.
All right. A hurricane.
They said a hurricane, or hurricane glass. Who knows what a hurricane glass is?
Pat O'Brien's.
Other than Chip.
You've been to New Orleans, you know what it is.
Number 1 answer, Martini.
All right.
Beer mug, number 2 answer. Number
All right.
5. Number 5.
Glass, no.
What's up, Dennis? Shot, that's a good one.
Bada bing.
Really? What kind of pole is that?
A double old fashioned.
No, Jonathan, really? That's not going.
That's 3. All right, they got martini and beer. Is that what your family decided?
Coffee.
Champagne, ding, 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 number 4. The other one is margarita and wine. I thought it was easy. I'm trying to give y'all slam dunk. All right, Buster. Buster for $100.
I think it's at the president's discretion.
Happy dollars. That's what I'm talking about. All right, Bobby C.
Bobby
Back
C.
from the big run.
He's running again.
I know y'all think I'm crazy. Some people are bored. And that would be me. Went to Bryce Canyon, Utah. 5 o'clock last Friday morning we started, and about 3 o'clock Saturday I finished. 100 miles. It was between 7,000 and 9,000 feet. And it was 32 degrees at night and about 85 during the day. And it was fun, believe it or not. It actually was the best I felt after one of those things. I've done a bunch of them, but the last 20 miles was my fastest. I mean, once the sun came up for the second time, I picked it up. But the greatest part of it all, I won my age group.
Wow, that's good.
Awesome. I was the youngest person in my age group. But it was 30,000 feet of elevation change, 15 up, 15 down. It was neat, beautiful country if you've never been there. God, awesome. I got the pictures you can see forever. Hoodoos. And
Did you find out who did?
who did? Anyway.
Good job.
All righty, I want to thank everybody that came out last night to our 4th multi-club. There's 2 up there, Buster. Multi-club 505. We had a great turnout. Gate City Rotary pulled 13 people out of 34. Might have been 35. We had several people who were interested in Rotaries that were there. We had a couple of spouses that were there. And because we went over the top, as promised last week, we did have a Rotarian show up in a bathing suit, bathing attire. Where's James People? Oh. Well, I'm not going to say who it was, but we did have one Rotarian in a bathing suit.
That's impressive. Oh man, slow down. All right. Well, where's Chris Neal? Is he here?
No, he's not.
I wanted to give a shout out to him. And last week he noticed that the back of our name badges say "Do not use with a pacemaker." And so I was really thankful that he pointed that out to me. You really put your dollar in your name tag. Dude, so anyway, it's on the right side.
Did you put your dollar in?
Nice try. Anyway, and
As Grandpappy Lewis, as you go through your day, just remember what Grandpappy Lewis always told me. A friend is just a stranger you haven't alienated yet.
Well, this is a great time to be a kid in Greensboro, and we have two super programs today. I'm so pleased to have Greensboro Youth for Christ and the Greensboro Tennis Foundation presenting to us today. Tom Sears is going to introduce the first half of the program on Greensboro Youth for Christ, and then Mike, will you introduce Mike Langia of the Greensboro Foundation? Tom?
Good morning. Since we are on a little bit of a tight schedule, we're doing two programs today. I brought my introduction. I just have a short introduction for the one from Youth for Christ. I'm joking. Vanessa York, we're going to introduce Vanessa first, who's been here before. Vanessa is the City Life Director, and we're going to talk about what the difference in city life and campus life. And she's been involved with YFC since she was 11 years old. She grew up in the program, and she now does ministry in the neighborhood and schools that she grew up in, which is incredible, really. She's worked with under-resourced teens, which is an understatement, for over 20 years. She also has Vanessa amazes me what she does, and I don't know when she sleeps, but she also has a part-time private practice doing adolescent therapy here in Greensboro. And she's married to Robert and has kids from 5 to 25, and she just amazes me at what she does and never acts like she's busy. So Vanessa's going to be talking about city life, and I'll let she and Lewis decide how they sequence it. Lewis has been with YFC 30 years, and he began to volunteer at risk with young people when it used to be called Youth Guidance. And it was there that he discovered his calling, and I might add that Lewis is a certified airframe mechanic. Bobby can appreciate this, before he decided to be a full-time minister, so he could be out at the airport doing serious work on his own. So he's been at YFC now 31 years in various duties. Locally, he's been the campus life director and now serves as our ministers director. And nationally, he also is very involved, which is incredible. He serves on the YFC National Council of Delegates, the Southern States, which is all the Southern States around, Regional Campus Life, and the National Campus Life leadership team. And he is married, and his wife is a third grade teacher at Caldwell. And they have two adult kids. That one is now a teacher herself at Wesleyan, which is where my brother's kids went. And Chris, his son, who's a senior at UNCG. So I'm going to let them take over, and I didn't mean to scare you, but I want to get your attention.
Thank you very much. Let me get this up and rolling. We're going to take you back in time, we hope. Youth for Christ this year is celebrating 70 years of being here in Greensboro. And we're going to take you back in time, and I hope this works. This is a picture of downtown Greensboro in the late 1940s. Anybody remember that? This is the late 40s. That's actually Elm Street. I just want to give you some stats, or maybe even challenge you. Anybody want to know what a first-class stamp cost back in 1948? 3 cents, exactly right. Yes, sir. How about a gallon of gas?
23 cents.
You're close. 26 cents. How about a dozen eggs? 64 cents. A little high. A gallon of milk?
18 cents.
Yep, 86 cents. A movie ticket, like we all went to movie tickets.
25 cents.
60 cents. Anybody know who the president was in 1948? I heard that, Truman. And minimum wage back in 1948, which has changed drastically, want to guess? $15. 40 cents an hour.
And
40 cents.
the Dow Jones was 177.
That's interesting, yes. But something else happened in the late 40s. A young man at that time by the name of Billy Graham came to Greensboro in 1946 and did a several-week crusade or event at the Coliseum. And from that, 2 years later, Youth for Christ began. And we've been here for 70 years. And throughout those 70 years, that little banner up above says we're anchored to the rock, which means we're focused on our mission and geared to the times. We changed. The kids that we were working with in 1948 are drastically different than the kids in 2018. I've been on staff 31 years. The kids that I first started working with are drastically different from the kids today. And so Billy had a big influence on us. We changed some of our policies or procedures. Back in the 40s, they did rallies, Bible clubs. Today, you would see us, we do activities in the community, particularly, Vanessa will talk about Glenwood, but we also have a school-based program called Campus Life that I've been involved in. We have worked very closely with Gifford County Schools and provide a program for them. We've grown a lot. And Vanessa, do you want to talk about this?
I do. This is our staff. We have grown tremendously, and I'm sure some of you guys know that Tom Sears had a new home for the past little bit and starting up a new office for us because we did see and have seen so much growth in the past few years. Aaron Stokes is our executive director. He has done a fine job. I was bragging at our open house the other day. Some of you might know or have heard of our former executive director, Wayne George, who was there 40-some years, correct? And so when he transitioned to retire and Aaron came in, I don't think I've ever seen in an organization or a business of such a seamless transition between two executive directors, especially for one to have been there 40-some years. It was amazing. So, and then we have the great Lewis Cheney, who is our ministries director. And one thing I want to point out, we have Rick O'Hare. Some of you guys might know him with a Carolina sweatshirt. I don't hold that against him, or try not to anyway. Lewis has been here 30 years. We went to a conference. He got his 30-year service award. Aaron Brewer, who does Campus Life, got his 20-year service award. And Rick O'Hare got his 40-year service award. So a lot of you in business and organizations nowadays, unless I'm mistaken, you do not see this kind of longevity, especially in ministry. And we see the greatness of that, of having guys that have been around, and we get to pull wisdom from those guys. It's amazing. And then we have Meg, who does our high school campus live. Nikki, we just hired not quite a year ago. She has been a tremendous blessing. She is kind of getting us back up to where we need to be as far as web design and volunteer tracking, number tracking, all of those kind of things. And so that has been a tremendous blessing. We have Chris here who does middle school. Am I missing another middle school? No. And then I and Jamon do City Life. City Life is a neighborhood ministry. We're in the Glenwood area. We work with Jackson Middle School, Hope Academy, Smith High School, and Smith Academy. Smith and Smith Academy are not in our neighborhoods, but we pull from them because especially in City Life, the idea, and Campus Life too, we want to get these kids coming into the 6th grade and mentor and work with them all the way through graduation and possibly beyond. One of the big pillars for City Life is Indigenous leadership. So when we go into these under-resourced neighborhoods to really see change, we have realized we have to do a holistic model where we're working not just with that young person, but that we're diving into their neighborhood, their school, and their family. And so the longevity of that, again, is getting them going into the 6th grade all the way up through the 12th. And then, as I was saying, our Indigenous Leadership Program is pulling them back in, and that's where you're gonna see a lot of change come in your under-resourced neighborhood. Is when those kids grow up in that neighborhood, go out, start their business, get their college degrees, whatever they're gonna do, but then they come back into that neighborhood and pour into that neighborhood what they've learned and what they've built up and give back to where they grew up. Ann Bartz, I missed her. She's an amazing person. She does a lot of behind the scenes stuff. She is our office manager. A lot of us don't realize it, but we would not run if it was not for that lady right there. And so this is our staff. City Life is phenomenal. We do work with a lot of challenging teams. Am I sharing my story now? Can you?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
Because of the growth, we're gonna move quickly. We just recently moved to a new location. For 30 years, we were in Glenwood on Aycock Street, and this past fall, we purchased this property, 917 North Elm Street in the historic Fisher Park. It has really rejuvenated our staff, given us energy, and a place that we really welcome guests anytime. Anyone here is welcome to come by and visit this office. Through the leadership of our board, particularly Tom Sears, we've been blessed to be here. This is another picture of it after his final paint on the exterior and nice rocking chairs on the porch. But we love this location. A little side note, I've been on staff 30 years. This is the first time in 30 years I've owned an office. I am so glad, and the door has a lock on it. And so, we're going to just share briefly some stories of kids. Now you can talk about City Life. And here's your kid right here.
This is Isabella. I was on staff for 8 or 9 years. I came up through the program, as Tom stated, and I left for a little while. During that time, I was able to get my master's degree and my license in counseling, which to me has helped me greatly with some of the kids we're working with. I do one-on-one appointments with this young lady every week, pro bono. There's no charge. This is completely through Youth for Christ, because this young lady has had a tremendous hard life. She is 11 years old. She goes to Hope Academy, and she is the product of a man having an affair outside of his marriage with another woman. That woman got pregnant with Isabella. The man left, had nothing to do with her. When she was about 2 years old, I believe, is when Dad left the scene. Her mom got together with a stepdad. They didn't make it. Stepdad left, so she's had a lot of loss, okay? Because of some of this stuff, she got involved in drugs at about 10 years old, because she's 11 now, 9 or 10 years old. She was smoking pot and experimenting with some other things. And Mom decided, I can't handle you, so she sent her here to live with her dad. And that woman, his wife, that her mom had cheated on her with, that's who she lives with now. And she had not had any kind of connection with her father since she was 2 or 3 years old. So she's acting out, having a lot of issues. She's smiling here, and that's what I have to, she has a wall up. She doesn't trust adults. I mean, why should she, right? And so that's what I've been working on week by week, to build down this wall and to show her God's love and how great and amazing she can be if she really chooses to. Extremely smart. She taught herself English when she moved here by texting her friends. Okay? So she's an amazing human being. And through hopefully through God's grace, I'm hoping to paint that picture for her. So these are the kids that when you give, here's the connection I really want to make sure y'all understand. For your Rotary Club to support us for so many years, it can be just this superficial, here's your check. I want you to know your dollars are making a difference in kids' lives, like Isabella. And I thank you for that. It means the world to us when we're out there to know we have people giving and praying. This is our, am I talking about this? This is our camp. We took, we've done a little growth for City Life. When I came back on staff, there was about 8 to 10 high school kids, and the former person was teaching a small class at Hope Academy. This is our camp last year, and we took right at 70 kids to camp. We have grown from that little bit of kids to we now service about 200 to 300 kids with City Life in the neighborhood, Glenwood neighborhood. And that does include a trip. We're starting a ministry under the umbrella of City Life called Juvenile Justice Ministry. And we go to the Guilford County Detention Center once a week and work with the kids that are there. Some of them have been bonded over that are 15, 16 years old, and they're going to be there for a few years. I'm working with a young lady there now who stabbed someone in the face. But again, if you hear her story, there's definitely reasons. Not that there shouldn't be consequences to her actions, but there were definitely reasons that built her up to be that kind of person, okay? And so last time I checked, God's grace was great for all of us, and that's what we're trying to bestow on that. Another thing your dollars do is send these kids to camp. It costs about $200 or $300 per child to go to City Life camp. Most of these kids cannot afford that. They barely have food in the cupboard, okay? And so your dollars help send some of these kids to camp. We only charge them $50 to go, okay?
Moving on, when I've been involved in campus life, I want to introduce you to one student. This is a picture of Josh Parrish. He's a pastor in a church here in town. His wife Shannon, Micah, and Addie is his daughter and son. I met Josh 25 years ago as a 6th grader at Northeast Middle School. And he began to be involved in our campus life program. And because I've been fortunate to be here long enough, I now have Josh. He's a volunteer with us at Southeast Middle School, and we're working with his son and his daughter in campus life. And it's cool to see generational kids that you work with their parents. Josh's brother, by the way, just got the new role here in Greensboro. He's the city manager, David Parrish. And David also was involved with us at Campus Life in Northeast. Here's a shot. Because of your donations, we're able to take kids on spring break trips. That was Josh and I and some kids. We went to the New River and camped. I've never tent camped when it was so cold. It wasn't maybe as cold as where you were, but I wear contacts, and I forgot it was below freezing. The morning I got up to try and put those in my eyes, oh, it was so hard, very hard. So anyhow, very hard. We deeply appreciate your partnership. As Vanessa said, we can't do this without organizations like you. And so we thank you for standing beside us. At your table, there's some brochures that just gives you a little more detail. Behind Vanessa is just a timeline from May 25th, 7 years ago, to where we are today. So we again thank you for the opportunity just to share briefly who we are. Thank you very much.
I think everybody would agree the challenges facing young people are great. For some children, it's greater than, challenges are greater than others, but nonetheless, growing up is not an easy task, and we appreciate what you do and how you invest in the lives of young people. So on behalf of the Gate City Rotary Club, I'd like to give you a grant from the Past Presidents Committee, and appreciate your investment in the lives of children. Mike Allen, talking about children in summertime, it's a great time to be young, isn't it?
I wouldn't know. I had the pleasure of meeting Mike Belanger maybe about 10 or 12 years ago when a couple of our kids started to get involved in competitive tennis. I would say probably less competitive usually than more competitive, but it was they really had a great time. If you've been involved in the tennis community in Greensboro, you should know Mike. Mike is regularly at Spencer Love during the summer months and Barber Park in the winter months. We're very fortunate to have a really strong tennis community. We're fortunate there's actually a big tournament at Spencer Love coming up in about 2 weeks. I think it's the 18th through the 23rd, give or take. The Columbia Forest Products tennis tournament, which you can really see some really strong local tennis players, including a lot of college players. And the French Open is going on right now, so this morning as I was getting ready, I happened to turn on the TV and see Nadal playing Diego Schwartzman. And one of the things that I'm not a good tennis player, I play some, but one of the things that I've always appreciated about tennis, I think perhaps as much as, if not more than other sports, is the amount of physical and mental stamina you have to show. And also the great amount of character that you have to show because, and really kind of embody, because of the fact that it's largely a self-policing sport. The mindset isn't what you can get away with, okay? And in a lot of sports, it's like, well, if the referee doesn't see it, is it really a foul? That's not the case in tennis. And I know in golf that's true too. Mike is the executive director of Greensboro Tennis Foundation. He also wears other hats with respect to Spencer Love and also with the city. And I've been involved with Greensboro Tennis Foundation for the last 4 or 5 years, somewhere around there. I'll shut up in a second, but I think you'll see that the use of tennis as a way to try to improve our kids' lives is a great vehicle. I think, Mike, you went to East Carolina University. Are you a Greensboro native?
Summerfield.
Okay, Summerfield native. We won't hold it against you, but he's been in the area for a long time and a great part of the community, and I've introduced Mike Melangio.
Okay, so thanks for having me today. We have a program, and basically it's 3 parts. Our first part is to expose kids to tennis and try to find kids who want to continue to play. Our second part is an afternoon program that any kid that is a motivated student, we put them in the program regardless of their ability to pay. And then our third program is a school. We have a tennis school that's based out of Spencer Love. The kids train 4 hours a day. They go to school 4 hours a day, everything there at Spencer Love. It's a different kind of educational model, but it's one that's really working well for the kids and one that's definitely helpful for high-performing kids. But it's not just about tennis. Tennis is the vehicle we use to help develop and help the kids. Because the same things you need to be a good tennis player are the same things you're going to need to be successful at other things. You need to work hard. You need to be able to handle adversity. You need to have a positive attitude. You need to, like Mike was saying, in tennis, there's no official usually when you're out there on the court, right? So conflict resolution, right? There's no coaching on the court. So you have to figure things out. You got to learn how to be independent, okay? So tennis really hits the sweet spot for a lot of things that help kids. I got this picture up here, and there's lots of stories within this. And this is sort of the first step of our program. This is an outreach clinic that we did at Dudley High School. You can see Dudley needs to be resurfaced, but that's on the way. So it's a combination of our high-level kids and exposing other kids to the sport of tennis. So I just want to go through some of the stories here. So the girl here, third from the right, is Amber Fuller. And she's 15 years old now, and she started with us when she was 9 years old. And she's got 2 very hard-working parents. They have 4 kids. Tennis can be an expensive sport. So she started with us. She seemed to really like it. Our fees are much lower than most programs, but they were starting to struggle. So they said, this is hard for us to keep doing. Can you do something? I'm like, can you pay half? They're like, yes. So she went on like that for a couple months. After about 3 months, she started playing tennis tournaments, which is unusual for someone to be able to do that. And after 3 months, she had entry fees and things like that. They needed help again. I just said, just bring her every day and we'll take care of the fees. Okay? Now she's 15. She's 2-time state adult champion, and she's been top 50 in the nation. Next year is her recruiting year, so she'll be able to get in. She's a 4.0 student. Next year she'll be able to get in probably any school in the country. Wow. With a combination of her tennis and her grades. Okay, so that's going to be an exciting process. But it's not just about one player. I want to show you how one player connects the rest. So Amber's here, and she's volunteering her time for this clinic. And that's the way, that's the most efficient way for us to do it. So everyone on the back row are high-level tennis players helping everyone on the front row. Okay? So with Amber, she's doing the clinic, and the two girls right here in front of her in the pink, that's Johari and Nala. And this is about a year ago. So Johari and Nala love Amber. When they come to the clinic, they're like, is Amber going to be here? Okay? And she's there every day that she doesn't have a clinic or a tournament. So from that, Johari and Nala are two of our rising stars as far as tennis players. Okay? Nala just turned 7, which is the minimum age to play tournaments, and she played a tournament last weekend. She didn't win a match, but she won a set, so it's pretty good. She's playing 10 and unders, so she's got unbelievable ability. And Johari is 9 years old, and she's going to join our full-time school program next year. So Amber's inspiring these two other players. Now we have other beginning clinics that we have our kids volunteer for. Johari and Nala help teach those clinics. So even after 2 years of playing, they go from student to teacher, and they learn to give back. And giving back for our program is non-negotiable. We expect it, and we require it. So from Amber and others, we developed this very strong program. We're either the strongest, we're definitely top 3 in the Southeast as far as strength of our program, because we eliminate the barriers and we can get kids playing. So because our program's strong, it attracts other kids. So the two kids here are Colin Schick and Braden Schick. Now Colin's going to NC State this year playing tennis, and Braden's one of the top players in the country. He's probably top 10 in the nation, has a good chance to win national championship this year. Now they don't have any financial restriction. Their dad's a radiologist. Their mother is a MD, but she doesn't practice. Instead, what she does, she's the teacher for the school. So we got the kids involved in the program, and now we have this incredible person, Ann Schick, who's the teacher of the school, and she doesn't volunteer, which allows us to reduce costs for everyone. And if Ann Schick is not the smartest person that I've met, there's definitely no evidence to suggest she's not. She's got the math aside, she's an unbelievable person. So we have Amber, we build a program, we get other kids, and then we get this great resource, okay? Amber's father, who wasn't a tennis player before, now helps with the outreach on Sundays. And he runs it, even though he's not a regular tennis player, he got involved in tennis. And now he's coaching about 15, 20 kids every Sunday. So there's a link there with the parents. Johari and Nala's father now helps us meet with kids to try to get them from stage 1 to stage 2 and talk to the parents. So we have the outreach program. A challenge for us before is talking to the parents, getting them to the next step. He calls them up, he meets with them, sets up individual meetings. So then there's another link. And there's stories sort of across this board. The girl in the yellow next to Amber, she's going to Pfeiffer this year. She plays 1 or 2 for Pfeiffer. She's the first girl in her family, or first kid in the family, person in the family, to go to college. So the tennis definitely helps her there. So I think what I want to show is, and I'm sure it's true with your program also, you help one person and it can spread. It seems like you're just helping one, but then you change the lives of their parents. You change the lives of the people that they're coming in contact with. And our goal is to create kids, teach them to be successful, mentor them, and get them in the habit of giving back. So that's really what our program's all about. We have a lot of volunteers and dedicated people for the mission. but it's really an exciting time in Greensboro. If you live in Greensboro and you want to play tennis, you have a better opportunity of taking it as far as you want to than any other place. So we're really proud of that. So, thank you, that's all I have.